Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is DreamFiction and today we will be reading the story Issei, the True Dragon of the Apocalypse, translated into English by Jyanzein. It's been a week since what happened. Gasper's comment managed to make itself out over the murmurs and music. Are you still thinking about that fight? He asked, glancing at the seat next to him, seeing how Issei was wearing a rather fancy black and white suit. In fact, it was quite similar to the suit Tiamat wore when she taught. It's not the combat I'm thinking of, the boy commented, leaning his elbow on the table behind him. Only in the great divide between us. He concluded, watching as Mitsuda and Motohama found themselves dancing excitedly along with Ike and Murayama. This undoubtedly brought a small smile to his face. What do you think of your friends? Gasper asked, watching as the women danced happily with the pervert duo in the middle of the whole crowd. To be honest, I'm surprised they dance so well. He commented, his eyes slightly widening. That's not what I mean, Issei commented with some amusement, then looking at them more carefully. Wait a minute, were they always this good at dancing? Issei couldn't help but blink several times as he discovered that he didn't even know how to dance. So, you mean like they are in general? Gasper asked, raising an eyebrow. No, I already know you get along with them. We were right next to them all week. Issei commented. I mean them and them. Issei stretched his last words a bit, causing the vampire to nod slowly in understanding. I don't know, Gasper replied, narrowing his eyes slightly. It's too soon to confirm. Speak for yourself. Issei commented graciously, taking the nearest glass. I have it quite clear. He finished, taking a small swig of his punch. Beginning of Arc Chapter 35. Anniversary animated. Would you keep sitting here all night? Rias asked, sitting down next to Issei. The Brown looked at her for a short second, seeing that she was wearing a completely crimson lace dress with glitter, which actually looked perfect on her. Nice dress. He commented, deflecting the question. It looks great on you. Concluded, taking a sip of his punch. Thank you so much. Rias exclaimed with a huge smile on her face after the praise. Wouldn't you like to dance? I'm still affected by the last battle. Issei declined the offer, then waved his free hand dismissively to emphasize his next words. You know, getting Volley's power made my dragon arm go crazy, and I had a lot of trouble recovering, he finished, causing Rias to shake his head. It's healing too slow because you didn't accept my treatment. Commented the Redeed with a small pout. I'm sorry, but no man with a modicum of decency would accept a naked woman licking his finger for hours. She commented with a bead of sweat, then blushed slightly at a memory. In fact, I never told him that Tiamat and Penemue helped me with the treatment and that the problem is now gone. He thought, remembering how Penemue hugged him from behind in just his white sleeping robe, while Tiamat hugged him from the front in her underwear, while he was half naked. Being a less direct treatment, it took much longer than the one proposed by Rias, but it had been worth every damn second. So, you don't want to dance? Rias asked, tilting her head slightly to one side. No, thank you. He commented with a smile. She can't find out that I have no idea how to dance. He thought internally with a very serious face. It's okay. She commented with a smile, getting up from her seat. If you want to do something, I set up a bed on top of the old building to watch the stars. Sounds good. Issei commented, causing Ria's eyes to twinkle mischievously. Obviously, Issei never thought about what the Redeed was probably thinking right now. Issei looked on with a pouty face as Gasper held a wrestler's mask. The vampire screamed with great energy and threw himself against one of the tables, breaking it in half, causing Kiba and the other servants to start clapping with a nervous smile. This caused Issei to look down at the punch for a short second, then push his glass as far away as possible. By the way, how old is this academy? He wondered, causing Rias to look at him once more, handing him a small smile. The 100th anniversary. She stated with a smile. Number 100,000. The Brown asked with both eyebrows raised, causing Rias to chuckle slightly. You're more perceptive than you look, you know that. The Redeed commented. How long have you been ruling Kuo? Issei asked, causing Rias to look at him for a short second. We ruled these lands even before Kuo existed. She replied, then walked off to where Kiba and her other servants. Issei turned his gaze back to Mitsuda and Motohama, just in time to see them both bump into each other and cause Murayama and Ike to end up leaning on them. The brown-haired man couldn't help but smile as the two women ventured over and kissed the two men. The eyes of the two widened in shock at the act, but they managed to respond a few seconds later. That image of his friends made Issei very happy, though he quickly felt a small twinge in his chest as quick memories of Rainer, Tiamat, and Penemue crossed his mind. He simply sighed, getting up from his seat and walking off towards the back of the stage, leaving everyone to continue having fun in the rest of the gym. Issei closed the door to make the music stop playing, but it was obviously useless. It was getting late. Issei whispered to himself with a fake smile on his face as he cupped his chest. As he was about to exit through the back of the stage and leave the gym, he could hear the door to his side open. Kind of strange, being that it was a door exclusively for authorized personnel. This is a little tight on me. The recognizable voice made Issei's eyes widen slightly. I told you your fat ass would bother you in that dress. The other voice only made Issei's eyes widen even more. Hey. Issei turned his gaze just in time to see Tiamat's little scowl. My butt's not fat. The discussion ended there when they both realized who was there. Issei? Both women asked, blinking several times in utter amazement. Issei simply opened her mouth and closed it again, unable to find a word. His hand holding his chest fell as if the puppeteer had abandoned his puppet as he had been completely paralyzed and that pain had disappeared. It had disappeared before the beauty that lay before his eyes. Tiamat was wearing a light blue one-piece dress with sparkles that clung tightly to her figure. In fact, it clung so tightly that her hips looked like they were about to shred the outfit. Around her neck she wore a cute white dragon necklace that fit her perfectly. He wasn't sure if it was the first time he had seen Tiamat in heels, but that bright white color matched her dress perfectly. Meanwhile, Penemue was wearing a dress very similar to the dragoness's, although it looked to be much looser. Its hue was a completely black color with small golden details that gave a majestic shine to her dress. He could also see something new on Penemue, as she was wearing a crimson lipstick that matched her beautiful eyes perfectly. Her heels were a red color, giving her dress a perfect contrast. Although her ball gown was not as tight-fitting as Tiamat's, her rather shapely figure was very distinguishable to the naked eye. Especially her breasts, which looked like they were about to make the cloth collapse. Something normal, since it was very difficult to get a dress that fit her for those two very big reasons. Seeing that Issei was still staring at them so intently without saying a word, both women looked at each other, then back at him. Is something wrong? Penemue asked, causing Issei to focus his gaze on her. No, just wow, the boy commented, causing them both to look at each other in confusion. How do they do it? Issei's question made both of them look at him quizzically. Do what? Tiamat asked, raising an eyebrow. How do they make themselves so beautiful? Issei's words fiercely lit both women's cheeks. Tiamat and Penemue couldn't help but lower their gaze with a small smile, somehow, trying to hide their huge blush and fascinated expression at such great and sincere praise. We should thank Azazel, he said these dresses would fit us, Tiamat commented. By the way, why do you want to leave? Penemue asked in an attempt to deflect the topic, just so the blush on her face wouldn't linger. Issei was caught off guard. He didn't want to worry them with that strange ache he felt in his chest. I don't know how to dance. In those moments, Issei's figure turned to stone. Tiamat and Penemue looked at each other with small smiles on their faces. You really don't know how to dance? The two women asked with a slightly mocking tone, causing Issei's pale figure to nearly fall as a huge imaginary arrow, with the word uneducated was stuck deep into his chest. I look like a complete imbecile. Thought Issei internally, in a completely devastated voice, though his paralyzed figure was unchanged. Both women looked at each other, then gave little giggles. Yes, they were both thinking the same thing. Come with us. Tiamat pulled Issei by the tie, locking him along with them in the authorized staff room. What are you doing? The Brown asked, seeing how the room inside had a couple of mirrors, a closet, and a large armchair in the center along with a table, where there were different cosmetics. Don't you want to learn? Tiamat asked, making Issei stiffen. I've never seen fit to do so, Issei interrupted himself as the song changed dramatically, playing much more romantic music. Wow. Issei couldn't help but be amazed when Tiamat pounced on him, wrapping both of her soft hands around his neck. Relax. She stated in a whisper, their faces closer than they really should be. No one will come in here. My friends and I are at the table having shots, drinking fast and talking slow. Let yourself get into the rhythm. Tiamat whispered in his ear, making Issei's body shiver a little. Come and start a talk just with me and believe me, I'll give you a chance now. Issei started to move slowly, trying to follow Tiamat's slow steps somewhat clumsily. Take my hand. Tiamat's hand gently took Issei's, giving him light touches. The brown-haired man was looking at her face at all times, and the very loving expression and those caresses made the tension in his body begin to drop. Put the man on the turntable, and then we'll start dancing. Issei's pace improved heatedly, causing Tiamat to be able to go at a slightly faster pace. And now I'm singing. Issei's eyes locked with Tiamat's, where he couldn't help but feel lost before her lovely eyes. Girl, you know I want your love. Your love was crafted for someone like me. Issei raised the pace of his steps a little, causing Tiamat to be slightly surprised. Come on, follow my lead. A big smile appeared on both of their faces the moment their foreheads collided with great delicacy and affection. I may be crazy, but I don't care. Tiamat's other hand took Issei's remaining hand with great affection, causing Issei to look at her with uncertainty. Just as he opened his mouth to find out what it was all about, Tiamat again bumped her forehead against Issei's once more. "Tell me. Boy, don't talk too much." The dragoness slowly placed Issei's hands on her waist, then hugged him by the neck and made their bodies squeeze together. "Take me by the waist and put your body over mine. Come on, follow my lead. Come on, follow my lead." Ooh. The dance of both of them became almost perfect, their glued bodies moved with an impressive synergy, while their faces had a small, but very sweet smile. They didn't need to have their eyes open to know how the other felt, because I'm in love with the way you are. Their bodies pressed even closer together, making their noses touch. We push each other and attract each other like a magnet. Oh, my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. Last night you were in my room. All the memories of him and her sleeping together flooded their minds. And now my sheets smell of you. Every day you discover something new. Tiamat's voluptuous figure became more and more present with every step. I'm in love with your body. The rhythm of the dance intensified even more. I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. Every day you discover something new. I'm in love with the shape of you. Wow. Issei couldn't help but scream when Tiamat forced him into a big spin, stopping in Penemue's arms. The Brown just smiled and accepted the tender embrace the cadre gave him with her hands, wrapping them around his neck. Issei did not take long to act and quickly embraced her around the waist. As the music continued to play, Issei was matching Penemue's rhythm as fast as he could, something he found a little difficult at first, and it could be noticed due to the fact that he didn't take his eyes off his shoes. When she finally caught the rhythm, he raised his gaze, only to revel in the beautiful crimson eyes and handsome face of his dancing partner. "Girl, you know I want your love." They both joined their foreheads together with great tenderness as they closed their eyes to flood at the sensation of the dance and the music. "Your love was handmade for someone like me." Issei tightened his grip on Penemue's waist a little more, causing the cadre to blush slightly. The intensity of the dance increased a bit, courtesy of Issei. "Come on, follow my lead. I may be crazy, but it doesn't matter. Tell me. Boy, let's not talk too much. Take me by the waist and put your body over mine." Penemue pressed her body against Issei's, causing them both to share a small blush at the growing sensation on their breasts. It was simply something fantastic. "Come on, follow my lead. Come on, follow my lead." Ooh. Penemue joined her hands with Issei's in one swift movement, not allowing their bodies to separate even an inch. "I'm in love with the way you are." Their hands intertwined with great affection. "We push each other and attract like a magnet. Oh, my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body." Penemue's breasts pressed tightly to Issei's chest. "Last night you were in my room." Memories of the times they were together in one bed jolted their minds. "And now my sheets smell of you. Every day you discover something new. I'm in love with your body." The rhythm of the dance intensified even more. "I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. Every day you discover something new. I'm in love with the shape of you." Penemue made Issei stagger to one side, getting Tiamat to take her other hand. "Come on, be my girl, come on." The three of them walked out of the room in laughter as they went dancing at an incredible pace, completely in sync, never mind that Issei had to dance with two women at the same time. "Come on, be my girl, come on." The three of them walked out of the gym, almost kicking down the door. Though they were clearly having too good a time to notice. "Come on, be my girl, come on." The three continued to dance with a great rhythm, slowly going deep into the trees. "Come on, be my girl, come on. Come on, be my girl, come on. Come on, be my girl, come on. I'm in love with the shape of you." The utterly beautiful and smiling face of the two women as they danced with great joy in the starlight was etched on the chestnut's retinas. "We push each other and attract like a magnet." Issei used his arms to pull them in and out with great elegance, making the dragoness and the cadre enjoy every movement. "Oh, my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. Last night you were in my room and now my sheets smell of you. Every day we discover something new. I can't believe it, I'm dancing." Issei thought with great excitement as he dictated the rhythm of the dance to his two future lovers. "I'm in love with your body." The laughter was only audible to the three of them. "Come on, be my girl, come on." The happiness of that night belonged only to them. "Come on, be my. I'm in love with your body. Come on, be my girl, come on. Come on, be my. I'm in love with your body. Come on, be my girl, come on. Come on, be my. I'm in love with your body. Every day we discover something new. Finally, Tiamat and Penemue ended up snuggled in the arms of the man they love, breathing in an adrenaline-filled, desire-filled agitation. I'm in love with the shape of you. Once the song ended, far from separating, the Dragoness and the cadre closed their eyes deeply with great passion and hugged tightly the man they loved so much. Do you want to dance another one? They both asked at the same time. Several hours later. Finally, one more turned into many more. They had been dancing all night long, unnoticed by anyone. Rias had wondered where he had gone, along with Gasper and the others. But they finally thought he had left due to the fact that he was still resentful because of his dragon arm and the corrupted energy. Far from what everyone suspected, Issei was much closer than everyone thought. The stars are like little snowflakes. Tiamat commented, lying on the bed on the terrace of the old building, along with Issei and Penemue. That's why I like them, she concluded, raising her hand and closing it tightly. Funny to think you didn't like snow before, Issei commented graciously, causing Tiamat to give him a cute look. You changed my mind, she finished, placing her hand back on his chest, placing her head a little closer to her future lover's shoulder. Tiamat's words made Issei think a couple of things. I think I understand, he stated, causing both women to look at him with intrigue. Before the supernatural world, I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. Mitsuda and Motohama always tried to create an environment for me, but it was simply impossible. Issei looked up at the stars, remembering many things. At first, I would say that they could never do it because the only place where I would feel at home would be in the supernatural world. But the truth is, it wasn't like that. Issei rubbed his cheek after the numerous memories. It's not that Kiba, Kaneko, Akeno, Rias and all the others treated me badly. In fact, quite the opposite. They're very nice, but the reality is that I'm different. He commented, thinking he had found the right word. That's right, different. That's why I thought I'd never find a place for myself. Issei couldn't help but smile. Well, or so I thought, until I met you girls. Hearing his words, the Dragoness and cadre's eyes slowly widened. The only ones who can build a place where I truly belong are you. He concluded with a toothy grin. I guess that's because I really like being with Tiamat and Penemue. Obviously, he hadn't measured the consequences of his words, so he didn't know the great emotions that flowed out of the two women he loved so much. Issei was slightly surprised when Penemue hugged his arm tightly to cover her face. Issei took this as odd, though he quickly became concerned when he felt his shoulder grow damp. Penemue? The boy asked, unable to figure out why she had started crying. Was it something I said? Issei tried to comfort her, but his attention was quickly diverted when he felt Tiamat sit down next to him. Of course. She commented with a blush on her face as she positioned a hand between her breasts. Those words did us so good. The Dragoness bounced on top of Issei, snuggling into his chest. Because we love you so much too, Issei. Now, let's just dream together, Penemue whispered in his ear, then delivered a kiss to his cheek. Tiamat kissed her other cheek. Both kisses lasted longer than Issei could guess, so the faint blush on his face at the act of the two beauties only increased even more. I guess it wouldn't hurt to sleep here, with you two, he thought with his blush still in effect as he hugged the Dragoness and the Fallen, who snuggled closer and closer to his body. The next day. Issei found himself staring out the window at his math class. It wasn't that he wasn't interested in the class. The problem was that there was a thought that had been plaguing him for several days. I hope our next meeting will be even more exciting. The protagonist couldn't help but frown at the memory. These days I have done nothing to improve myself. He thought with great seriousness. I am completely well now. I think it's time to start, concluded just as the bells rang, indicating the end of the hour. Before Mitsuda and Motohama could talk to him, Kiba appeared at the door. Issei, I'm here to take you to the club. The blonde declared, leaning against the doorframe with his arms crossed. The Brown stood up without a word and followed him without complaint. From his companion's expression, he was sure it was nothing bad. At the occult club. Issei couldn't help but blink several times as he settled into one of the corners of the room, watching as Sona Citri and her peerage were there, in addition to Azazel, Tiamat and Penemue. Their mistresses already know. Azazel began to speak as he settled his metal arm. But from what I see, they still don't know anything. He added, then fixing his gaze on them. Both families have been accepted into the raiding games amateurs. Wait, but the Rias nobility isn't complete. Yes, I know. Azazel interrupted Saji. I was able to convince the event administrators to add Rias with one less servant. I convinced them solely because they want to see the potential I talked so much about, Issei. He commented, handing the aforementioned a glance. In hell, no one has heard of you, save that you are known to be rather weak and for a somewhat strange victory against the late Razor. This caused Issei to frown. Still, everyone would like to see the Sekiryuite fighting in an official raiding game. That'll be the perfect time for you to shut the whole of hell up. He concluded, then looked at everyone again. The amateur rating games may sound like something without much relevance, but that's not the case. It will be a small tournament where the strongest peerage among all the beginners will be decided. Azazel watched Sona and Ria's reaction for a short second, causing his smile to increase slightly. It is already known that there is a peerage that could rival the professionals. Probably, those people will be the strongest obstacle in your way. Azazel rose from his seat, placing a hand on Penemue's shoulder. Since they will be facing an opponent that they can't in their wildest dreams win right now, Penemue agreed to train them. It will be training for the next 3 months. Penemue fixed her gaze on Issei for a short second, then looked at them again. One of you already know what my training methods are like. But for those of you who don't know, I'll just say that I'm not here to be a babysitter. Before training with me, you must pass a test. That way, I'll make sure you're really ready to endure it. Will it be the same test as that time? Issei thought, remembering how they had a little confrontation. Don't worry. Azazel commented, seeing that everyone was very nervous at Penemue's words. If you fail, you will receive training from me and that of a friend. Azazel eased the waters slightly. But believe me, she is the best teacher you could have, far better than me and anyone else. He concluded, then looked at his metal arm again. Don't waste the opportunity. He finished, making everyone swallow deeply. Let's go to the gym. Penemue stated with a slight nod of her head. I'll explain the conditions there. Conditions? Issei wondered internally. Earlier she had only told me to attack her without thinking. I suppose the method she will use will be different, he concluded, following the cadre, as did everyone else. In the gym. Everyone watched with great attention as Penemue performed her pre-stretching before starting the fight. She was wearing her typical clothing that revealed a large part of her body, implying that she was not up for games on this occasion, as she was not wearing her ultra-heavy dark tunic. The hue of the gym was somewhat greenish, indicating that they were in a pocket dimension for obvious reasons. Well, for starters, cadre commented, as she continued her stretching. They can all attack me at once. I don't care. This statement took more than one by surprise. I warn you, I will use all my power from the start. We faced a cadre before and we could see their potential. Rias thought. I don't think it's that complicated. Look at their looks, Azazel commented in one of the stands, being accompanied by Tiamat. The only one who doesn't seem to be taking this lightly is Issei. That's normal. Commented the Dragoness. He's the only one who knows what she's capable of. And even he doesn't know. This last statement from Azazel made Tiamat look at him with slight intrigue. After a few seconds of stretching, the cadre finally thundered her neck and gave them a solemn look. There is only one condition for victory, she declared, as unsheathed her katana. Whoever endures more than one blow will pass. This made everyone look at her with wide eyes. Is she kidding? Saji wondered, rubbing his hair. At her maximum power, Penemue is as strong as Bali at her first evolution, Issei thought, clenching his fists tightly, then putting a foot forward, materializing his armor. This is the opportunity I've been looking for. He concluded, with a big smile on his face. His gauntlet loaded countless times, indicating the large amount of augmentations he was already using out of sheer excitement. I guess he's not doing it, Sona commented, opting for a combat pose, as did everyone else. Only 5 minutes until the end of the break. Rias thought. Maybe for that reason she's imposing a seemingly simple condition on us. Well, Penemue fixed his gaze on everyone. Begin. Eyes, here's the plan. Rias and Sona tried to accommodate their servants, only to widen their eyes exceedingly when a crimson trail went straight towards Penemue, regardless of what their mistress said. You can't control a true dragon. Tiamat thought with a small smile, seeing Issei's reaction. After being within a few feet of Penemue, everything became noticeably slower for the brown. What will be her first move? He thought with great intensity, trying to decipher every possibility. Though he wasn't at all expecting what was about to happen. Issei widened his eyes in shock as Penemue threw her katana into the air. Although his face was still in disbelief at the move, Issei didn't get carried away and came to the conclusion that it was a trick, so he quickly tried to punch her. His expression was practically indecipherable as Penemue's figure blurred and his fist went completely through the cadre's face. The problem was that he hadn't hit anything. Issei went all the way through the figure. He quickly landed and turned his gaze, trying to understand what had happened. Where are you looking? Everyone's eyes widened in shock as Penemue appeared behind Saji out of nowhere, causing the blonde to take a big leap backwards. Saji quickly tried to bind her with his sacred gear skill, but again Penemue's body was pierced through. What the? Tsubaki thought aloud, completely incredulous. Her speed. Sona managed to quickly decipher it, though that didn't help. After all, Penemue had already appeared in front of Saji. The blonde barely had time to blink in shock before he received a hard punch to his stomach that generated a huge shockwave. Saji's eyes quickly turned white and he spat out a large amount of blood. Now, show them, Azazel thought, sketching a small smile. All of Sona's nobility began to attack her with various magical attacks. None of them noticed when Penemue appeared practically in front, delivering a blow to the abdomen to each of them with equal forcefulness. One of the pawns tried to strike a blow, but Penemue again moved at an absurdly high speed and struck her back with a blow that produced a frightening sound. While the bodies were still in the process of falling to the ground, Sona could see Penemue turn her face to where she was. Position 0, now. The student council president shouted, causing the last 5 remaining people in her group to form a circle in a poor attempt to cover every blind spot. Everyone's faces froze as they felt a figure appear in the center of the circle. Very weak were the last words they heard before they each received a blow to their backs. Finally, everyone's unconscious bodies fell almost at the same time to the ground, indicating that the entire fight had taken place in only about 5 seconds. "Show them why you were God's right hand," Azazel exclaimed in thought, with a somewhat mischievous grin on his face. Penemue closed her eyes in great tranquility as she thundered her neck, only to raise her hand and catch the katana, which was only now falling back down. "Let's see what the Gremory are made of," she declared, dropping the katana to the ground. Everyone's expression was one of complete delight at the moment. Even Issei was completely impressed by what had just happened. In fact, to say that he was merely impressed is an understatement. "This is bad," Issei thought, watching as Sona's entire peerage was writhing on the ground. "We must attack now," Rias exclaimed, shaking her hand vigorously. "Get into attack position before she makes any moves." "That won't work." Issei's words made everyone look at him. "Right now, we're ants trying to fight an elephant," he commented, biting his thumb. "No matter what we do, we don't stand a chance. The best we can do is wait and try to counterattack once she attacks us. The only advantage we have is our numbers," he stated, causing everyone to nod. "Wow," Azazel commented in clear amazement, impressed that Issei would take the initiative over Rias, being that she was the leader. A small smile appeared on Penemue's face. "As always, you are very thoughtful," thought the cadre, to then start walking. In that case her gaze was fixed solely on Issei. "We'd better finish off the most problematic one first." Suddenly, Penemue stopped walking and started running, causing Issei to narrow his eyes. Suddenly, Penemue's figure slowed to her eyes as she listened intently to his every step. Her eyes widened greatly as she stopped hearing footsteps and Penemue's figure became somewhat transparent. "Now," he thought, turning his gaze as fast as he could. His eyes slowly reached the back, watching as Penemue appeared there. He predicted her move, Azazel thought, with his eyes a little wider than normal. Issei quickly turned around and tried to kick her in the chest. Penemue widened her eyes slightly at her student's unexpected reaction. "Impressive," Cadre exclaimed, causing Issei's eyes to widen in shock as his leg pierced Penemue's chest. "But that's not enough," she finished, causing Issei to spit out a large amount of blood as half of Penemue's arm plunged down and shattered the armor in his abdomen. Before Issei's eyes rolled back in his head, he could notice how the cadre had moved at such a speed that she was in a completely different posture than she had seen him in not even a second ago. Issei rolled on the ground, causing everyone to look back. But it was already too late. The second to bite the dust was Gasper, and quickly everyone followed suit, being knocked down by a single attack. And the funny thing is that they couldn't even see from where or how they were attacked. Finally, Penemue picked up his katana just as all the unconscious bodies hit the ground. "I guess that's it," Tiamat commented, watching as they all writhed like maggots on the ground. "I don't think Penemue agreed to my request just to humiliate them like that." Azazel's statement made Tiamat look at him for a short second. And as if his words had been an omen, Penemue quickly turned around and stopped an attack in its tracks. "Did you think you'd finish me off so easily?" Issei asked with a defiant smile, which was somewhat overshadowed by the huge amount of blood running from his mouth. Penemue's usually serious face twisted into a small smile. In the end, her secret plan had turned out as she wanted. "Why didn't we come with the others?" Issei asked as he rode on one of the hell trains along with Azazel, Tannen, Penemue and Tiamat. "You start earlier," was Azazel's simple reply, settling his feet on the seat in front. "They should be thankful to get a little more sleep this weekend," he added in a rather nonchalant tone. "You'd better prepare yourself mentally, Issei," Penemue commented, causing the aforementioned to look at her. "The training will be even more suffocating than before." This made Issei swallow deeply. "But what will I train my body for?" Issei asked. "I mean, it was my understanding that I was almost at the limit of my capabilities." "Almost, but you're still a little short," Cadre clarified. "In order to release your first evolution, you need to be at your full potential," she concluded, causing Issei's face to take on great interest from one second to the next. "Also, you must train with your katana. If you noticed, Volley's divide can become very annoying, but you won't be able to activate it unless you take a magical or physical hit from your opponent." Issei nodded, indicating that he had understood where the whole thing was going. But obviously you'll have to get a lot more power to make volley fail to touch you with any kind of attack, at least in the first minute of the fight. That will give you some advantage. He finished, receiving another nod from his pupil. To release my first evolution, I'll also need a very strong emotional trigger. Like when I managed to use my ultimate ability, Issei commented, remembering everything that had happened. You're right, Penemue commented with a slight blush on her cheeks, as she too remembered very well what happened. Changing the subject, I still can't believe that Tannen agreed to train them, Issei stated with genuine astonishment. I agree to the peace treaty as well. Commented the Dragon King. I wanted to show my attachment to the cause somehow, and this is the best one I could find. Tiamat couldn't help but frown at this, but didn't voice her displeasure. Obviously, that doesn't take away from the fact of everything the demons did and the other two factions. But, the fact remains that they are threatening a friend of mine. And not only that, you are one of the few remaining vestiges of the dragons, Issei. I cannot allow your companions to be a great burden, rather than a support. I appreciate that you consider me a friend. But Issei lowered his gaze slightly. I am a demon, not a dragon. Having Drake's respect makes you a dragon. Tannen's comment made the young man look at him with great astonishment. Having such an excitement and passion for fighting makes you a dragon. Not letting anyone control you and trample your pride makes you a dragon. To have been trained by a dragon queen makes you a dragon. Tannen stood up from his seat in the eyes of everyone. Having all the characteristics of a dragon, that's what makes you a dragon. Tannen folded his arms, unable to help but smile. In my view, you're not a demon and never were. Were you able to see all that from the beginning? Tiamat asked, somewhat impressed at her friend's words. Of course not. He replied quickly, making the dragoness look at him like he was an idiot. I only saw her eyes. Everyone looked at him quizzically at his words. What's wrong with my eyes? Issei asked, causing Tannen to sit up and look at him with a sideways grin. Your eyes scream that you are not what you appear to be. He replied, causing everyone to look at him with slight confusion. Okay, the boy commented, not knowing how to respond to that, then jumped up. I'll go to the bathroom. He stated, closing one of the nearby doors. Don't you think you're being reckless? It didn't take you long at all to ask me that. Just as I expected from your troublesome character, Tiamat. Tannen stated, unable to help but opt for an amused look when the dragoness delivered an evil glare. Strengthening the demons won't be a problem. The dragon commented, as Azazel and Penemue listened intently to the chatter. They will never try anything against the famous Issei who is a demon. Tannen chuckled lightly at his own words, then gave him a very sharp look. And if they plan to do anything to him, they must remember that the Dragon Queen will not be the sole cause of their extinction. Chapter 36. Preparing for the raiding games. Shall we train in the cursed forest? Sona asked, as she surveyed the vast majority of the forest on the nearby mountain. No. Azazel replied quickly, appearing next to Sona, Rias and their servants. I brought you here so you can understand why Penemue discarded you. Hearing this, they all looked at the forest with great attention, seeing how in a small treeless area stood Issei and Penemue. Before we begin, I would like to clarify a couple of things. Cadre stated, receiving a quick nod from her pupil. The training consists mostly of the use of your katana. You are allowed to use your dragon shot, but not as regularly as you use it. She commented, narrowing her eyes slightly. Is that clear? Issei nodded quickly, unsheathing his katana. You explained the reasons to me as we traveled here. I have no objection. He concluded, receiving a satisfied nod from the cadre. The second thing I wanted to tell you is rather something that will help you to know where your position is. Hearing this, Issei couldn't help but lower his katana with a raised eyebrow. What do you mean by that? He asked, causing Penemue to raise a finger. I mean your power scale. She commented, causing Issei to look at her with great interest. Level 1 is where the lower class demons, the weaker fallen angels and others. Penemue waved her hand, indicating that the list was quite long. Those found in 2 are middle and upper class demons, or similar to that power. Cadre added, then slightly widened her gaze. You are in 3, along with the high class demons, the strongest angels and fallen angels. Obviously, you're in this position if you don't use your explosion. But I can use it, Issei commented, causing Penemue to squint slightly. Are you sure? She asked. Yes. He commented as if it was the most normal thing in the world, clenching his fists tightly and activating his armor in progress. After a second, his eyes widened in disbelief. I can't do it. Issei exclaimed in great surprise. You've already forgotten the feeling. Cadre replied, causing Issei to look at her intently. But don't worry, you'll regain it in this training, she concluded, then turned serious again. As I was saying, Penemue held up 6 of her fingers. If you use blast, you would reach 6. 1 level behind the strongest supreme demons and cadres, such as Surziches, Azazel, Beelzebub, among others. Penemue finally cracked her neck, then glared at him. For starters, I'll adjust to your current level, putting me just one level above. That way, you'll know how much difference there is between one level and the other. That is, you'll start with 4, Issei commented as he held tightly to his katana. A storm of violet lightning violently swirled around Penemue as she violently drew her katana. "Don't disappoint me," were the cadre's last words before the combat began. Penemue's katana soared through the air, then headed for full speed. After the battle against Volley, that speed was very easy for Issei to follow. It was another thing if his body responded as fast as that time. Numerous thrusts and swords clashed together, creating numerous metallic sounds. The violet rays emitted by Penemue's katana fell to the ground without doing any damage to Issei. Finally, the clanking of the metal stopped for a moment as Issei covered her last swing of the katana, smiling a small smile. According to him, he was keeping up with the cadre perfectly. From one second to the next, Penemue frowned slightly and the thrusts took on double speed, making her movements a slight blur. Issei's eyes widened immensely at the increased speed. In fact, the surprise was so great that he had no choice but to leap to the side to dodge the cadre's final attack, which produced a deep crater in the ground. Issei lowered his gaze slightly, seeing that his armor had heavy damage in the center, indicating that the attack had passed closer than it appeared. "That's it?" Penemue asked, as her hair fluttered freely from her flashing aura. Before he could even answer, Issei's eyes widened as Penemue disappeared in a blur. The Brown began to sweat as he heard sounds from different directions rushing through the surrounding trees. After a few seconds with nothing happening, Issei held tightly to his katana and turned around, throwing a sword at a violet beam that was about to hit him. The Brown turned his body again at high speed, blocking another beam with his katana. In this way he blocked all the attacks successively at a great speed. Tired of this, Issei raised his hand and quickly turned around, creating a small orb. Dragon shot. The small beam was disintegrated and the crimson attack continued its assault into one of the nearest trees. Once the attack passed through the tree, Issei quickly followed Penemue's figure that had escaped from its hiding place. Just as he was about to cut her down, Penemue flipped her katana and took on a large, electrifying violet glow. A large amount of lightning bolts shot out of the ground immediately after, creating small cracks and causing Issei to close one of his eyes from the electrifying pain, as well as being thrown backwards by the same lightning bolts. "I still have many tricks I haven't taught you," Cadre declared as she watched Issei land forcibly. "That doesn't change anything," the young man exclaimed, pouncing on top of Penemue. The cadre parried his lunge dryly without any difficulty, causing Issei to blink slightly in disbelief at the ease. Penemue deflected Issei's katana with great ease, only to unleash multiple thrusts that went at an impressive speed. Dance of the 11 bloody hilts. Is this the training? Rias wondered with wide eyes, watching as Issei blocked the deadly attacks with the metal of his katana. "You haven't seen anything yet." Azazel scoffed, waiting for the fight to advance to the next phase. Finally, Issei was able to break Penemue's continuous attacks, knocking her back with his katana. When he wanted to attack her again, the woman disappeared again. Issei wasted no time and quickly ran into the trees, dodging and blocking the lightning bolts in the form of dot. When he finally arrived at where Penemue, he tried to cut her down with a downward attack, but the cadre dodged it with great ease and slipped away into another tree. Issei quickly followed her, causing their swords to clash a couple of times in the air, generating small sparks. In one of the many attacks, Issei blocked one of his teacher's swing, only to see Penemue's katana turn a violet color at the same time it began to flash. The Brown gave a small sigh to relax, just at the same time he twisted his katana to the side, blocking and deflecting Penemue's attack, causing a large wave of lightning to shoot to Issei's side, causing a large number of trees to be destroyed. Penemue couldn't help but widen her eyes slightly at the demonstration. "This is very easy," he stated with a smile as he dodged and blocked all of Penemue's attacks. "I don't think you understand," she stated, taking a small hop backwards. "You still didn't have a clear chance to attack me." Instead of answering him, the chestnut focused on the gleam of metal on his katana, being able to see that a magic circle was created behind him, probably placed during the battle. Issei jumped just in time to the side, dodging the lightning bolt that shot out, impressing Penemue again. "Can't say you're doing badly, though," Cadre exclaimed, blocking her beloved's katana, then taking a big leap backwards. Penemue glared at him, then gave him a small smile. "So, let's see how you handle the 5. A large amount of flashing energy surrounded Penemue, causing a small smile to appear on Issei's face. "That's what I've been waiting for," he whispered, only to widen his eyes in shock as Penemue created a large stream of air that carried a lightning bolt of considerable size. Issei was reactive enough to jump as high as possible, causing the attack to pass underneath. His eyes grew wide as the attack sliced through 4 trees in a clean cut. That distraction almost cost him dearly as Penemue rushed towards him, delivering a massive attack. Issei was barely able to dodge the killing blow, as Penemue's katana only grazed his hand, giving him a small cut. Lightning expansion. Issei's eyes widened in disbelief as the blade of the katana received a large spread through solid united lightning, which pierced through the rest of his armor and delivered a very deep cut along the length of his entire arm. Issei couldn't help but grit his teeth at the immense pain of feeling the light magic and lightning penetrate deep into his arm, though he didn't have time to wail. The boy hit numerous jumps backwards, dodging not only Penemue's katana, but also that strange addition that gave an extra meter to the metal of the katana. Issei continued to dodge and jump until he was forced to block an attack, gritting his teeth hard at the radical change in difficulty. The Brown's eyes widened as Penemue disappeared again. This time, however, Penemue's position was almost indecipherable, for she was going so fast that the sounds of her footsteps through the trees could be heard from everywhere and at all times. His eyes widened even more when a bolt of lightning appeared just inches from him, shocking him dryly and causing him to let out a great scream as he fell to his knees. Issei removed his hand from his abdomen, only to see how there was a small hole in his armor, in addition to the amount of blood he began to spill. Arg! Issei screamed again as another bolt went through his shoulder and then his leg, culminating in his chest, causing his eyes to widen beyond measure from the enormous pain as he vomited a large amount of blood. He fell to the ground in a thud, causing the attacks to stop. "Do you intend to kill him?" Rias exclaimed in horror. "Shut up and watch," Azazel ordered with a grin. "You really can't take it anymore." Penemue appeared at the top of a tree. "I guess I overestimated you," she declared, closing her eyes regretfully. Those words were like an awl in the man's chest. He didn't want to disappoint her. Penemue opened one of her eyes as she heard Issei clutch his katana tightly, startling slightly as he stood up. "Now I know." Issei spat out a small amount of blood. "Where are you?" he concluded, staggering slightly. Penemue couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. "Does that change anything?" The cadre's eyes widened in an overdrive as Issei's staggering body moved at a great speed to where she was, causing the cadre to take a great leap. "That's my running form." The cadre thought wide-eyed, unable to believe he was trying to mimic her speed. As she prepared to land on the ground, Penemue created numerous magic circles that went straight towards the Brown. Issei raced down the tree at full speed, smashing the magic circles and lightning bolts that managed to activate, receiving only one or two attacks. Penemue landed and somersaulted backwards. She quickly positioned herself and swung her katana backwards, engulfing it in magical power and lightning. She waved sharply to the front, causing that strange large lightning accompanied by the air current to go straight to her beloved. Issei stabbed his katana deep into the ground, generating a huge line of destruction as he continued to run without stopping. Just before the attack hit him, the Brown raised his weapon with all his might and sliced the lightning bolt in two, generating a huge explosion of small lightning bolts next to him. "I'll try this last thing," Cadre whispered, swinging her katana again. The ground was cracked even more violently than the previous time, causing larger, more forceful bolts of lightning to erupt from the ground. Though far from being harassed again by the same attack, Issei went through all the lightning bolts, regardless of the fact that it did great damage to his armor. Penemue couldn't help but smile as she flipped her katana, jumping into the final confrontation against Issei. They both extended their katanas, causing a huge explosion of violet lightning and crimson energy to shoot into the area, generating a small tremor. "How is it that such a battle can only be training?" Gasper exclaimed with wide eyes, seeing the explosion of energy that had been released. "That's what Penemue training is like," Azazel replied, unable to help but to slightly darken his gaze. It only took a couple of seconds for the energy to dissipate. They both stood on either end, their katanas still tilted to one side after the attack. "You managed to give me a wound," Cadre stated, seeing the thin gash running the length of her torso. "You were just as I expected," Issei, she concluded with a small smile. "I'm glad," were Issei's last words, before a large gush of blood spewed out of his torso, falling to the ground completely unconscious. "Now you guys get it, right?" Azazel declared with an unusually serious face. "How many of you could withstand such brutal training?" "How insane," Saji commented, blinking several times, thoroughly impressed. "I thought he was the weakest Sekiryuite." "It is, but it's still the Sekiryuite," Sona stated, adjusting her glasses seriously. "And besides, it looks like Penemue will see to it that no one else recognizes him by that title. That's why we should make an effort," Tsubaki stated, then handed a small smile to the retreat. "You were very lucky, Rias. What can I say?" she commented, turning away from the spot along with everyone else. Azazel delivered one last glance to the two, unable to help but smile as Penemue hugged him tightly. At the same time, Tiamat appeared with a clearly desperate face. "Good thing you two are best friends, otherwise she would have killed you by now," Azazel thought graciously, leaving the place. The next day, at night. You should have seen everyone's faces when Tannen showed up and started attacking them. Azazel stated graciously, causing Penemue to cross her arms. I don't care. She replied as she watched from the mountain as Issei was sparring with Tiamat. Come on, you only have another 2,000 repetitions to go. The dragoness exclaimed excitedly, making Issei sweat. You just make me want to die right here, he commented, seeing that he was wearing the ultra-heavy robe while using Tiamat's ice sword, which was also known for its weight. Remember to complete it or I will have to give you a punishment. Tiamat declared with a slight frown. Issei shivered at the thought. If Penemue was already so strict with punishments, what would the dragoness be like? Obviously, it was impossible for him to decipher. I came here to tell you that there will be a reunion of all the factions in a week's time. The boss declared as he watched Issei barely able to lift his sword. Another reunion? Penemue asked, looking sideways at him. It's Auden. He wants to sign a much deeper covenant treaty in the face of the threats that have recently appeared. Azazel explained. He didn't say much more, he just wanted us to be present. We won't go. Cadre replied, causing Azazel to look at her with a raised eyebrow. It could be considered an insult. Not so much for you, but mostly for Issei. He stated, causing Penemue to glare at him for the first time so far in their talk. I'm not going to be able to protect him forever. The cadre's response astonished Azazel. Tiamat won't be able to either, as much as it pains her to admit it, she added, lowering her gaze with some regret. I have to prepare him as soon as possible so he can defend himself on his own. Penemue fixed her gaze on Issei, unable to help but look at him with great concern. That's why I'm so strict. That's why I never let him have a moment's rest. Azazel shifted his startled gaze to a smile, half understanding what the cadre was feeling. When you accepted my proposal to train them all on the condition that you split the work on Grigori, you never intended to train them all, did you? He asked, glancing sideways at her. I don't know what you're talking about. Come on, you can fool them, but I know your strength very well. He commented, then looked at her with a mischievous grin. Did you think that much weaker blow you gave Issei would go unnoticed in my eyes? Penemue turned her face and gave him a fierce look. Don't tell him. Calm down. Azazel raised his hands in defense. I wasn't planning on it. He explained, defusing the situation. The two of them stood there for a few seconds, watching as Issei continued with his training. I understand why you do it. Azazel broke the silence, though it didn't disturb Penemue's gaze. You love him as much as you love her, he stated, causing Penemue to give him a sidelong glance. I understand what you mean, but I don't. He commented, then closed his eyes deeply at the memories of his past. I mean, I love Issei with the same intensity or even more than Ludmil. But, the feeling is totally different. Azazel just looked at her with a raised eyebrow, unable to decipher her friend's thoughts. After all, Azazel could never imagine that someone like Penemue was talking about love. Not in 1,000 years. Issei thought, seeing that his face was sideways as he looked like being crushed by something. Not in 1,000 years would I have imagined this would be the punishment. Issei concluded his thoughts as he felt his neck about to burst from Tiamat's butt. Maybe it will be more painful than I first thought. The dragoness thought aloud, with slight concern, as she remained seated on her future lover. I'm not going to take advantage of the situation, I'm not going to take advantage of the situation, Issei thought, as he felt Tiamat's hands were very close to his waist. That is, of the mini Issei. But what are they doing? Penemue appeared through the trees, with an indecipherable look at what she was witnessing. It's punishment. Tiamat exclaimed with a smile. Isn't that a good thing? She asked with an innocent look. Penemue proceeded to fold her arms as she continued with that indecipherable look. As usual, you're too soft. What? Tiamat couldn't help but frown slightly at what she heard. Don't you understand? Tiamat's frown changed to a curious look after the cadre's question. There are thousands upon thousands of men who would kill to be in Issei's position. She commented, then glanced at the brown-haired man. It's only being a real punishment because Issei is noble enough not to take advantage. She stated, then closing her eyes. Though his neck must be at its limit by now. Tiamat, I'm sorry. Issei shouted, turning his face to the front. A huge blush appeared on the dragoness's face as she felt Issei's face slip very easily between her buttocks. Much better, Issei thought, relieved as he felt the pain in his neck go away, although he didn't have much time to think about it. Smells like soap, thought the brown, completely surprised. How clean. Issei couldn't think much more about it as his face quickly turned purple from lack of air. The brown began to move frantically, causing the blush on Tiamat's face to increase as she tried to keep her balance. Issei's movements became even more violent so that his fingers sank into the dragoness's ass, causing her to cover her mouth so that not even a moan would escape her lips. Penemue simply patted her face at her best friend's antics. I'm beginning to suspect she really wanted this. Thank you for watching part 14 of this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking the video. I hope to see you in the next video.